The sailors were already celebrating when the fire was lit. After weeks of wandering across the endless waters, their ship had finally reached land. The dark shape rising from the sea looked like a lonely island, smooth and wide, perfect for rest. Men jumped from the ship, laughing, their boots thudding against what felt like solid ground. Sindbad the Sailor was among them. He stretched his tired arms and breathed deeply. The scent of salt and damp stone filled the air. Around him, the crew hurried to build a small fire, eager to cook food and warm themselves after the cold nights at sea. But something about the island felt wrong. There were no trees, no birds, no sound of insects, only a strange silence, heavy and deep. Sindbad frowned as the flames grew brighter. The heat from the fire began spreading across the dark surface beneath their feet. Then the ground moved. At first it was only a slow tremor, like distant thunder rolling under the earth. The sailors froze. The fire crackled loudly in the stillness. Suddenly, the entire island shuddered. The water around them exploded into waves, and Sindbad realized the horrifying truth. This was no island. Beneath them was the back of a monstrous creature sleeping beneath the sea, a creature so vast that ships mistook it for land. The beast had awakened. Men screamed. The ground lurched violently. Flames scattered across the creature's black skin as it began to dive. And in that terrifying moment, as the sea swallowed the false island whole, Sindbad the Sailor was thrown into the roaring ocean, with no ship, no crew, and no certainty that he would survive the night. But this was only the beginning of the most dangerous voyage of his life. Long before that terrifying night, Sindbad had been a young man in the great city of Baghdad. The city was alive with color and noise. Merchants shouted across crowded markets. Spices from distant lands filled the air with rich, sharp scents. Silks shimmered like flowing water beneath the desert sun. Sindbad had inherited a fortune from his father, a wealthy trader who had spent his life crossing distant seas. But Sindbad was young, careless, and eager to enjoy life. Gold disappeared quickly. Feasts, music, and endless celebrations slowly emptied the chests his father had once filled with treasure. One day, Sindbad opened the final chest in his house and found it nearly empty. The silence of that moment was louder than any festival. For the first time in his life, Sindbad understood the value of the stories his father used to tell. Stories of distant islands, strange kingdoms, and fortunes hidden across the seas. His father once said something Sindbad never forgot. "A man who fears the sea will never discover the world." Those words returned to him like a whisper. So Sindbad made a choice that would change his life forever. He sold his remaining possessions and joined a group of merchants preparing for a great voyage. Their ship was strong, its sails bright against the wind, and its captain was known across the trading ports of the East. Sindbad stood on the deck as the city slowly faded behind them. The waters stretched endlessly ahead. He felt fear, but he also felt something stronger: adventure. Their journey carried them far from the familiar shores of Arabia. Day after day, the ship sailed across glittering waves. Sometimes the sea was calm like polished glass. Other times storms rose without warning, shaking the vessel like a leaf in the wind. The sailors were seasoned men who spoke of strange places, islands where diamonds lay scattered among snake-filled valleys, mountains where giant birds carried elephants through the sky, cities made entirely of gold. Sindbad listened to every story with shining eyes. Weeks passed as the ship moved from one trading port to another. They bought rare woods, spices, and silks.
The voyage seemed blessed by fortune, until the day they discovered the silent island. When the sailors first saw the dark shape rising from the sea, they cheered. After days of open water, the sight of land filled them with relief. The captain studied the island from the deck. It looked strange, smooth and round, but calm weather and exhaustion convinced him it was safe. Anchors dropped, boats lowered. Soon the crew stood upon the dark surface. Sindbad knelt and touched the ground. It was warm, almost alive beneath his palm, but he thought little of it. The men laughed as they unpacked food and gathered driftwood. The fire grew bright. Then everything changed. The monstrous creature beneath them awakened. The ocean erupted as the giant beast plunged into the depths, dragging sailors into the raging water. The ship's captain shouted orders from afar as the crew scrambled desperately back to the boats. But not everyone reached them. Sindbad was thrown violently into the sea as waves crashed around him. Cold water filled his lungs. The sky vanished beneath crashing foam. For a moment, he believed he would die. But fate had not finished with him yet.